Dear students, today we are going to learn nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, its concepts and instrumentation. So far we have discussed IR and microwave spectroscopy. Now we are going to discuss about the introduction of NMR, background, basic concepts of NMR and instrumentation. We'll go one by one. We'll try to understand what is nucleus first of all. So in an atom we have nucleus that is positively charged, and the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. They are rotating on its own axis like Earth. So it is having spin. They are of two types, clockwise spin and anti-clockwise, plus of and minus of. See, in 1924 Pauling predicted that nucleus is also having spin. So it is the most important discovery in the chemistry field. In short span of time, many applications have been derived from this discovery. So we are going to see the NMR spectroscopy introduction. So what is NMR spectroscopy? It is a branch of spectroscopy in which radio frequency wave induce transition between magnetic energy levels of a molecule. In microwave spectroscopy, we saw the transition between rotational energy levels. In IR spectroscopy, we came through the transitions between rotational energy levels. Here, in NMR spectroscopy, the transitions between magnetic energy levels which are induced by the radio frequency. We are going to read about this technique. So the magnetic energy levels are created by keeping the nuclei in magnetic field. In the absence of magnetic field, the spin states are degenerate. That is, they possess same energy and energy level transition is not possible. So when magnetic field is applied, they separate into two levels, and radio frequency radiation can cause transition between these magnetic energy levels. So NMR spectroscopy provides chemists or scientists with these information on the environment in which the nuclei of atoms are found in the molecules and compounds. So we can therefore use NMR spectroscopy to determine the structure of a molecule. So the theory behind this technique is more complex than for microwave and IR spectroscopy, but the interpretation of this spectra is no more difficult once we gained the familiarity. So what is the criteria? That is, what is the criteria for a molecule to be active in NMR radiation, that is in NMR spectroscopy? Here we have to we have to concentrate on spin quantum number, whereas in IR spectroscopy, vibrational quantum number we have gone through, and in microwave spectroscopy, rotational quantum number we have gone through. Here spin quantum number we have to concentrate. So when some atoms are placed in a strong magnetic field, their nuclei behave like tiny bar magnets, aligning themselves with the magnetic field. Electrons behave like this, this too, and for this reason both the electrons and nuclei are said to be spin. Okay, they are said to possess spin. That is, any spinning electric charge has an associated magnetic field. Just as electrons with opposite spin pair up uh, uh, with each other in bonding orbitals, a similar thing happens with protons and neutrons in the nucleus. If a nucleus has even number of protons and neutrons, example carbon 12, their magnetic fields cancel out each other and there is no overall magnetic field. However, if the number of protons and neutrons are odd, if the number of protons and neutrons is odd, that is for example proton 1, the proton hydrogen 1, or C13, fluorine 19, phosphorus 31, the nucleus has a magnetic field in these atoms. So in this slide explains you the spin states, the atomic numbers, mass numbers, and spin quantum number. So a spinning charge such as the nucleus of proton or carbon 13, it generates a magnetic field The magnetic field generated by a nucleus of spin positive is opposite in direction from that generated by a nucleus minus half. So this slide explains you the distribution of nuclear spins is random in the absence of external magnetic field. This slide explains you an external magnetic field causes nuclear magnetic moments to align parallel and anti-parallel to applied magnetic field. So this diagram explains you there is a slight excess of nuclear magnetic moments aligned parallel to the applied field. So if the substance is placed in external magnetic field, the nuclear magnet can have two alignments of lower energy and higher energy. To make the nucleus change to the high energy alignment, energy must be supplied. So the energy absorbed corresponds to the radio wave frequencies. So the precise frequency of energy depends on the environment of the nucleus, that is on the other nuclei or the electrons present in the neighbor atom, right? And we have gone through the concepts of NMR, and now we are moving ahead with the instrumentation of NMR. So the first figure shows the NMR instrument is placed in a separate room, and the second diagram shows the NMR block diagram. So in third one shows the flow chart. So by placing the sample which is to be examined in a strong magnetic field and measuring the frequency of radiation, it absorbs the information can be obtained about the environments of nuclei in the molecule. So there are two variables that can be altered when recording an NMR spectrum, that is the magnetic field can be kept constant and the range of radio frequencies scanned, or the radio frequency can be kept constant and the magnetic field can be scanned. So the sample tube the sample must be taken in the liquid form. So any solid sample that should be soluble in the DMSO, acetone nitrile, or carbon tetrachloride, and the liquid form should be taken in the sample tube and it is placed in between the two bar magnets. Then the radio frequency should be applied to the sample tube. Then we can record the NMR spectrum. So thank you students, I hope you understand. Thank you.